Hi guys, this is O-level chemistry, paper 12, June 2018, question 1. A student wants to show that the rate of reaction between calcium carbonate and dilute hydrochloric acid doubles for every 10 degree Celsius rise in temperature. The method the student uses is to measure the volume of carbon dioxide released. The student has a Bunsen burner and a gas syringe. What other essential apparatus must the student use? Okay, we have balance. Yes, to measure the mass of the calcium carbonate. So balance is required. Burette and pipette are not required. We are not carrying out a titration procedure. Measuring cylinder is required to measure the volume of hydrochloric acid. So balance and measuring cylinder we've already discussed is required. A clock is required to time the collection of gas, and a thermometer is required because we are measuring the rise in temperature by a 10 degrees Celsius rise. So thermometer would be required to follow the rise in temperature. Okay, burette and pipette are not required. Clock and thermometer are required. And in the last set of apparatus, pipette is not required, measuring cylinder is required, clock is required, thermometer is required. So out of the four given options, B is the only one with all the apparatus that is needed to follow the rate of reaction, making option B the correct option for this question. Question 2. Which mixture can be separated into its components by adding water, stirring, and filtering? Okay, so in A, we have got calcium carbonate and sodium chloride. Calcium carbonate is insoluble, sodium chloride is soluble. So if we add water, sodium chloride will dissolve. And when we filter, we get a solution of sodium chloride and a residue of calcium carbonate. So yes, this mixture can be separated. Next, we have a mixture of magnesium and iron. Both are metals. This is not the way of separating them. Next, we have sodium chloride and copper sulfate. Both are soluble salts. When water is added, both of them will dissolve in water, so will not be able to be separated by filtration. And next is sulfuric acid and hydrochloric acid. Both are soluble in water. Both, when mixed, will not be able to be separated by filtering them. Therefore, the correct option for this question is option A. Question 3. Which row gives the correct test to identify both ammonia and sulfur dioxide? Test for ammonia is damp blue litmus paper. No, ammonia is a basic gas. It will turn damp red litmus blue. So this eliminates options A and B, and we will continue on with options C and D. Now, test to identify sulfur dioxide. Sulfur dioxide is an acidic gas that turns potassium dichromate colorless. So we have an option of acidic potassium dichromate and damp blue litmus paper. So sulfur dioxide is known to turn the purple color of potassium manganate 7 into the colorless uh, form in which manganese 2 plus ions are present, and it has not been known to turn damp blue litmus red. So option C has the correct test, option D does not have the correct test, making option C the correct option for this question. Question 4. Two gases, ammonia and hydrogen chloride, at an equal pressure are allowed to enter the apparatus shown. After a time, a white solid forms on the inside of the tube. Which statement explains why the white solid forms in the position shown? Ammonia and hydrogen chloride react to form solid ammonium chloride. Yes, that is the exact reaction that is taking place. Ammonia diffuses faster than hydrogen chloride. Ammonia has an MR of 17. Hydrogen chloride has an MR of 36.5. The mass of HCl is higher than the mass of ammonia. Therefore, ammonia would diffuse faster than HCl. So this statement is also correct. Ammonia has a lower relative molecular mass than hydrogen chloride. We just saw that. So this statement is also correct. So all three statements being correct. Option A is the correct option for this question. Question 5. The atomic number of cerium is 58. A Ce4 plus ion has 142 nucleons in its nucleus. So basically, cerium has a proton number of 58 and a nucleon number of 140. So how many protons, neutrons and electrons are in one Ce4 positive ion? So number of protons would be equal to 58. Number of neutrons would be equal to 140 minus 58, which is equal to 82, and number of electrons would be 58, and since there is a charge of plus 4, that means 4 electrons have been lost, resulting in 54 electrons being left. So 58 protons, options A and B have 58 protons, options C and D have been eliminated. Number of neutrons is 82, which is there in both options, and number of electrons is 54, which is there in A and not there in B, making option A the correct option for this question. Question 6. The diagrams show the arrangement of particles in three solids, X, Y, and Z. The three solids are krypton, potassium, and sodium chloride. Which row correctly identifies X, Y, and Z? Okay. Now, X is an ionic lattice. The only ionic compound out of these three is NaCl. Therefore, X is NaCl, sodium chloride. So, options A and B have been eliminated. Option C and D has the correct answer so far. Now, in Y, we have got a sea of electrons delocalized between positively charged ions, which is the structure of a metal, and the metal out of the three solids given is potassium, making option D correct because option C has krypton written for Y, whereas the structure of Y is that of a metal. And finally, Z is atoms joined together in a, or rather held together, not joined, held together in a lattice. And these are atoms because krypton, being a noble gas, is monoatomic. So every atom of krypton is in a regularly arranged pattern because it is solidified. So Z is krypton, which is the option in D. Hence, D is the correct option for this question. Question 7. Which statement about solid calcium chloride is correct? Calcium chloride is an ionic solid. Okay. It conducts electricity. Ionic solids do not conduct electricity. They conduct electricity in the molten and the aqueous states. So next, it has a low melting point. Ionic solids all have high melting point. It has an ionic lattice structure. Yes, because it is an ionic solid. And it is insoluble in water. Calcium chloride is a soluble salt. Therefore, option C is the correct option for this question. Question 8. Ethane, C2H6, and ammonia, NH3, are covalent compounds. The dot and cross diagrams of these compounds are shown. Which statements are correct? A molecule of ethane contains twice as many hydrogen atoms as a molecule of ammonia. There are 6 hydrogen atoms in ethane and 3 hydrogen atoms in ammonia, making this statement correct. Next, an unreacted nitrogen atom has 5 outer electrons. So nitrogen belongs to group 5. So an element in group 5 will have 5 valence electrons, which is correct. In a molecule of ethane, the bond between the carbon atoms is formed by sharing 2 electrons, one from each carbon atom. Yes, since it is a covalent bond, each carbon atom will share one of its electrons in the shared pair. So this statement is also correct. Since all three statements are correct, option A becomes the correct answer for this question. Question 9. Which statement about the structure or bonding of metals is correct? A metal lattice consists of Atoms in a sea of electrons? No, positive ions in a sea of electrons. Electrons in a metal move randomly through the lattice? Yes, the electrons in the structure of the metal are delocalized. Metals are malleable because the particles present are mobile? No, layers of positive ions can slide over one another. The ions in a metal move when positive and negative electrodes are attached? No, electrons would move, not ions. So this makes option B the correct option for this question. Question 10. When one volume of gas R reacts with exactly 5 volumes of oxygen, it forms carbon dioxide and water only. What is R? Okay, so basically we need to find out how many moles of oxygen are required to completely burn the hydrocarbon. So the formula for oxygen is X plus Y upon 4 moles of oxygen, and X in this case is number of carbon atoms and Y in this case is number of hydrogen atoms. So for butane we have got C4H10, so that would be X equals 4 and Y equals 10. Therefore the formula will become 4 plus 10 upon 4. Now 4 plus 10 upon 4 is 4 plus 2.5, which gives us 6.5 moles of oxygen, and we need the compound which burns with a requirement of 5 moles of oxygen. So option B has C2H6, where X is 2 and Y is 6. So this would become 2 plus 6 upon 4. 6 upon 4 is 1.5 plus 2 gives us 3.5 moles of oxygen. Option C is CH4, in which X equals 1 and Y equals 4. So this would become 1 plus 4 upon 4, and 4 upon 4 is equal to 1. So when we have 1 plus 1, this would give us number of moles of oxygen as equal to 2. And finally, option D has C3H8, where X equals 3 and Y equals 8. This would become 3 plus 8 upon 4. 8 upon 4 is equal to 2. 2 plus 3 is equal to 5. Therefore, propane burns with a requirement of 5 moles of oxygen, making option D the correct option for this question.